Hello book friends, how are you? Today's video is on the book Waking Up in Vegas by Natasha Preston. Natasha Preston has written a bunch of books. I have read one previously. I did a video on it. It's called After the End. Holy smokes. Great book, super emotional, really raw, really vulnerable, very tender and beautiful. I absolutely adored it. Really heavy subject matter, but I really liked it. So this will be the second book of hers that I have read. Like I said, the title is Waking Up in Vegas. That tells you something right there, a little bit about what the story is going to be about. I wore my cheetah print today in celebration for the whole Vegas theme. I have been to Vegas several times, but the funny part was, and something that I really connected with this book was, I was underage each time I went. I was under 21. So it's kind of funny because Ren, the main character, one of the main characters, is 18 when they go to Vegas, so she can't partake in the nightlife and the kind of partying atmosphere that Vegas is. The book is about Ren and Brody. They are English, and they decide to go to Vegas for Brody's birthday. They are all of drinking age, and actually, as you know, in England you can drink when you're 18. In the States you have to be 21. So, oh, my dog, again, laying here snoring. So I don't know if you could hear that. Anyway, so the interesting part of these characters is that they are good family friends. There are two groups of siblings, and that's like their group. That's their group of friends. There's 6 of them, 5 of them. Mason, Luke, Brody, Ren, Felicity, Emma, I think. So there's 6 of them, I think. And their parents are very good friends. So they've been raised super tight-knit, close group. And Ren is the youngest of all of them. And so when they bring up this idea to go to Vegas, everyone else is of age and can drink. She's not. So they're like, well, why would you even want to come then? And she's like, oh, well, I don't want to be left out. So she decides she's got a plan. So while they're out partying, she's going to go and do stuff and experience Vegas, the city, you know, which I thought was really cute. A little bit about Ren and Brody is that although they are in the same tight-knit group and were raised together and are very good friends, they themselves aren't super close. Brody is kind of the playboy, older guy, super hot, really charismatic, treats her as his friend's little sister. And Ren, I really liked. She's just graduated high school. She has decided not to go on to college, so she's volunteering and hoping to get a permanent job at an animal shelter. I love that about her. She very much wants to not be the little sister anymore, and this trip changed all that, obviously, for them. So it's no secret, because I know Natasha has included it in the teasers, that Ren and Brody get married. Right before this trip, as the book starts, you kind of realize a little bit that Brody takes notice of Ren in a way that he hadn't before. He's like, she's all grown up, you know, he thinks she's hot, he's looking at her a certain way, and he's like, okay, but I can't look at her that way because it's like, that's my best friend's little sister. And then, like I said, Brody to Ren is like this unattainable older friend of hers. But they go on this trip, and Brody takes it kind of upon himself to look out for her and to make sure that she's taken care of and make sure that she's, you know, not making stupid decisions and somebody's checking in on her. And they start to spend some time together. And they go to this little bar where they assume that she probably won't be carded. And I think it was 2 nights or 2 nights they go to this bar. They watch movies in her hotel room. He's not really interested in going out and hooking up like his friends are, and both the guys and the girls seem to be out hooking up. So this one night, towards the end of the trip, they go out to this cute little bar. They get totally tanked, totally drunk, meet another couple who are gonna go get married, and they're like, yeah, we'll go with you, sure, why not? And they go, and then they end up going through the steps and end up getting married. then they take it one step further and they end up spending the night together. And they both describe as like they could not believe the chemistry that they had together. And then they wake up the next morning and it's like, whoa. Something that's very prominent with their relationship before and after this, I would affectionately call them the Bickersons. They seem to bicker constantly. They sit together on the airplane, they're bickering the whole time. They're around each other, they're bickering the whole time. I kind of associated it with, you know, like when you're 8 or 9 and there's a boy that picks on you on the playground and he might push you down or he might make fun of something you're wearing or he teases you in some way. Their bickering kind of seemed a little bit like that to me. It was on both sides. They were both responsible for it, but it seemed a little bit like that, which went to their whole, you know, grown up together, you know how to push each other's buttons, you know, kind of stupid, you know, picking on each other. That didn't really change once they got married. So they go home. At first they try to get it taken care of in Vegas. That doesn't happen. So they end up having to go home and they're like, oh my gosh. And it's like this dead weight sitting on their shoulders. What I really liked is that they took the word marriage and annulment and divorce very seriously. Something I felt like they didn't take so seriously, which kind of, I mean, it didn't really affect how I felt about the book, but I felt like all of them, the group of friends, the way they kind of treated sex and drinking and hooking up and all of that was very open and free to me. And that's just not me or the way that I am. And so the way that they talked about hooking up, whether it was the guys or the girls, it was like it was no big deal. So, you know, that to me was a little bit hard because, you know, it's just not like me. I was never like that. So that being said, the flip side to that, to how seriously they took, I mean, yes, they got married in a drunken, you know, prank kind of, thought it would be easy to wipe away. And then once they realized it wasn't easy to wipe away, they took it very seriously. So they come home and they're like, okay, what do we do now? That's where the book really started to, I really started to like dive into the book. It becomes much more serious in those middle chapters where, you know, the first couple are like all fun and dandy. And then it comes to the serious part and how seriously they take their word marriage, how serious they are in trying to find their way out of it, how it affects their friendship, how it affects their siblings' relationship. Brody's best friend is Ren's brother. And he's like, oh my God, not only did I marry her, but I slept with her. Well, how is that going to affect their friendship? How is it going to affect both sets of parents who are married and happy and work through their problems? And again, they really did put marriage very seriously. So all of that I really liked. Then there's this whole element of Brody is like, who's never had a girlfriend, never had a serious relationship, is really kind of a player, is kind of like wants more from her and thinks there could be more with her, but literally doesn't have the capacity to like acknowledge those feelings. And Ren really looks to him to be like, well, can I even go there with you? Like you got to show me something, because all I know is that we bicker all the time and I'm totally attracted to you, and that's great, but a marriage is more than that, and a relationship is more than that. So there's this whole other part of them trying to figure out, and there's this whole time thing. So you can't just come home and write a check and get a divorce, right? It takes time. You have to go through a legal process. So they have all this time to think and to worry and figure out, and I really liked all of that. And I really felt like that part of the story, I was happy that Natasha went there because I needed more of that. I didn't want just the fluff. I was hoping to get more, and I got more. Even though I felt like they bickered all the time, their banter was really funny. They're very quick wit. And in one of the teasers that Natasha has, it's a quote from Ren and Brody. And Ren says, "You're a dickhead, Brody." And he says, "I'm your husband, babe." I mean, there was really great banter between them. I loved that we got both perspectives. I really enjoy when we see the story from both sides. I get a better understanding of the characters at that point. There's a lot of angst in the middle of this book. And I really was like, oh my gosh, okay, like tell me already, like what are they gonna do? There's an event that happens and they both get like majorly slapped in the face. And there is a build to this event where something has to give, something has to break, and everyone is involved. They have broken hearts, they have upset their parents, they have upset themselves. Neither one of them, she's like, I don't want to be someone's ex-wife. I'm only 18 years old. And he's like, I don't want to talk about having a second marriage. And like I said, I really liked those parts because I felt like, okay, they're taking it seriously. And there was so much to them trying to figure out their feelings. They started at the top. They started at, we're married. Now, we kind of like each other and we mess around a little bit and it's really good. But like they took it really seriously if they tried to have a relationship within their marriage before they can get a divorce. If that didn't work out, what was going to happen to their families? Because they're constantly in each other's lives because of how close their families are. So like I said, there's this event where they get slapped in the face and it's almost like a do or die moment. It's like the aha moment. And I loved when we got that moment. I mean, it's a really serious part of the book, don't get me wrong. But I love that we finally got that moment. And I have to say that I wish we would have gotten a little more of them. I liked the meat of the story. I liked the buildup of getting there. I wished we got a little more of what happened after that event. I would definitely recommend Waking Up in Vegas. There's so much more than just Vegas to this book. Let me know if you have read any of Natasha's other books in the comments below. Let me know if you've read Waking Up in Vegas, obviously, or even after the end. I will include that in the description box below, my video that I did on it. Thank you so much for hanging out with me today. I will see you soon. Bye.